I was tempted, tempted by your smile. I was tempted.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a lot less of a challenge than it actually was. When it comes to like composition, exposure, all that kind of stuff, it wasn't really anything new. I've been doing it for 15 years, but the real challenge came from like scanning, learning how to scan and do it myself. So that was definitely challenging. I was never really into film. Like I didn't want to shoot film. I wanted to get shots that looked like film, but I never wanted to shoot film. I didn't want to wait for my film to be processed, to be developed. So I would shoot on like Fujifilm because they had those film simulations built into the camera. I didn't have to wait for the shots to come back to me. I could just see them as I shot them. And then I started dating this girl like 5 months ago, who's now my girlfriend, and she used to shoot black and white photography in high school. And that got me really intrigued because I haven't really known anyone who shot film. I mean, like my parents have shot film, my dad shot film. She actually did it in high school, so not that long ago at all. Again, that got me intrigued, so I started looking into it, and I asked her if I could borrow her Pentax K1000, and she said yeah. So my first roll was Fujifilm 200. It's a different film stock than like the old C200 from Fujifilm. It's actually a newer film stock, and a lot of people agree that it looks exactly like Kodak Gold 200. I don't really know like how true that is. It seems like from the research that I've done, could be possible. It seems like it's a very high possibility, but all I know is the shots came out looking awesome, so I'm happy with Fujifilm 200. So I placed an order at Target, and it was because they had it, Fujifilm 200. They had the film stock that I wanted to shoot on, and so I order it, and I get to Target like 30 minutes after I order this for pickup, and they're like, "Oh, you ordered it like 30 minutes ago? Oh, sorry, it takes like at least 2 hours to get it ready for you." I'm like, 2 hours to like go into the back and like grab it off the shelf? What the fuck? So I just walked to the back and I grabbed it myself, and then I walked out of the store. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but that's what I did. So she loaded the film for me, which is funny because like I am usually the expert in photography amongst my friends, amongst just everybody that I know. But the second roll I shot, which was Kentmere 400, maybe I'll do a video on that later. I loaded myself, and I ended up fucking it up because I guess I loaded it too tightly into the camera, and then the sprocket holes like ripped when I was trying to wind it. So yeah, that was annoying because I lost like 5 or 6 shots worth of Kentmere. But anyways, yeah, I had loaded film. I was ready to go, and I started shooting. It seems like every photographer that shoots on film for the first time, their barrier to entry is the mirror selfie with like a silly face. So here's mine. This was the second photo I took. The first photo I took was like out of focus and not very good. I got this roll developed by a company called CT Prints or Ross Imaging in Connecticut, and I think they did a really, really good job. I also paid for the high resolution TIFF files because I knew I was going to want to edit them, right? Like you get a lab tech that basically does what he thinks you want him to do or what he thinks is best. And then you get your scans back and you realize, oh, I want them to look different. So I knew going in I wanted to have the high resolution TIFF files so that I could edit them myself. The very next shot on this whole roll is a shot of my office at work. It's not my office, but it's the lobby of the building in which our office is in, and it's kind of a funny picture. It's just the empty lobby with the empty chairs, and it's funny to me because it really is empty all the time. Like nobody comes in to sit in our office because we don't really like have clients show up for our business. The other businesses in the building sometimes do, but very rarely. And so I just thought this shot was funny because it definitely captures like exactly what the lobby looks like 24/7. Nobody in there, just chairs. Nobody actually comes in and uses those chairs. I just thought it was funny. By the way, I'll be punching into every single one of these photos just so that you can see the sharpness of Fujifilm 200, because I'm sure some of the people watching right now are looking to see what Fujifilm 200 looks like so they can potentially shoot it, or they just want to, you know, indulge in some mediocre photography. This next photo shows off how fucking sick I am at focusing with a manual lens. This was either shot at f2 or f2.8. Obviously there's no metadata to tell, but it was no slower than that. 100%. The max it was f2.8. And like, just look at how fucking sharp that is, dude. It's sick. It's actually fucking insane. I wanted to photograph my cat, and he was sitting on the other side of the fence in the garden, and I knew I wanted to make sure that he was the main subject. Everything else was blown out, and the fence was blurry enough that you could see my cat, but sharp enough that you could tell it was a fence. I wanted the fence to be kind of like a character in the shot, but it's fucking tack sharp, dude. Like, I know that I'm joking around about it a little bit, but like, it definitely gives me a confidence boost knowing that a lot of these years of practice have paid off, because really, like, you don't have focus peaks, you don't have punch-ins, you can't check your focus in a way unless you have like a split focus, and to have such tack sharp focus is something that like I was proud of with this photo, definitely. And here's a few other shots just showing how much of a fucking savant I am with that manual focus. All of these shots are tack sharp. It's mind-blowing to me that I can do that on a 50mm f2. Again, it gives me a confidence boost knowing that I can do something like that, because these are all perfect in my opinion. Now, if you thought my focusing skills were awesome, you're gonna think that I am a lying, no good sack of shit when you see these photos, because it is quite literally the opposite. I think I'm being a little too hard on myself, but I missed focus by a decent enough amount that I can tell that it's out of focus on some of these shots. My dogs are one of my favorite things to photograph. Both of them love to stick their tongues out for some reason when they sleep. I don't really know why. I mean, maybe it's just like a pug thing. Again, though, I love like super close, intimate portraits that basically like fill the frame. You take your subject and you just fill the frame with it. And that's exactly what I was going for with Frankie here. And I missed focus a little bit, and that sucks. It just like, it is what it is.
You know what, Otis? I don't care what you say. You're still a tramp. That's right. You haven't even got a fat bankroll in your pocket. You probably haven't even got 25 cents.
I got 6 Cadillacs, 5 Lincoln, 4 Ford, 6 Mercury, 3 T-Birds, Mustang. Ooh.
This next photo is one that a lot of people told me was their favorite of her. I'm gonna disagree, because in my opinion, I don't think this looks as much like her as a different photo that I'm gonna be showing you next, which, hold your horses, keep it in your pants, I'll get to it. I really like the intimacy of this photo. I really like the fact that the light wraps around her face very well, and like the color contrast is really cool. But to me, it doesn't really look like her in person when I look at her face. And so in this next photo, this is what I think she looks like when I look at her face, and it's one of my favorite photos. This might be my favorite photo I've ever taken of her. There's a really nice like faded look. The blacks are slightly raised. Fujifilm 200 definitely shines in this photo in my opinion. And it also has a nice split tone to it. There's some blue cyan from the window light, and then you get some of the tungsten or just like, you know, warmer colors from the kitchen lights that are leaking in from the top left. And then also her eyes are a nice golden amber, and that helps contrast the colors as well. You also would know this, but that little side eye thing that she's doing, the look away, she does that all the time. Like this photo just encapsulates who she is as a dog and as a member of the family. And I think it really does a good job of capturing her personality. So this is like definitely one of my favorite photos I've ever taken of her. My late Christmas gift to my parents was taking them out to lunch in New Paltz, New York. I was broke during Christmas, so I didn't have money to spend on them, so I pushed it off till March. We went out for lunch and we got coffee, and across the street from the coffee shop was this like karate school, and I really liked the sign that they had. It was a nice wood grain texture, and it was raining all day, so I didn't really get to take a photo of anything because it was nasty out. And so I looked out my window as we were leaving and I saw that. And so I was like, I'm trigger happy. Let me just take a picture of it. And I'm glad I did, because I think this came out as one of the better photos in the roll. And it's really, really sharp. Like, this is one that I'd be proud to print because I really like the colors of the wood grain. And I also really like the fact that it is very sharp, and I think it would look really good blown up as like a 2-foot or like just a large print, like an 18 by 27 or even 13 by 20, something smaller. I really think that this would be a fun one to print out and just have. Possibly my favorite shot on the entire roll is this photo that I snapped of a building in Middletown. It's number 22 on the road that it's on, and it has a number 22 hanging off the building, kind of like establishing that it's 22, the 22nd building on that street. It's a financial building for like a bank or something. And honestly, I was just walking around town kind of trying to like get rid of shots, because I was kind of anticipating like, all right, I'm almost done with this roll. I just want to get it done, send it out to get developed. I'm anxious to get this done, so let me just like go snap a few photos. And 2 of the 4 last photos ended up being 2 of my favorites, because they came out really awesome, and they were kind of like throwaways, but they ended up being awesome. The other 2, unfortunately, the exposure was wrong, or something went wrong with the film. It kind of had like half of it was properly exposed and half of it was completely dark. The only thing I really did with any of these photos was balance the colors a little bit, but this one definitely had a little bit more. I had to straighten it more. And then the other thing was I brightened the back panel of the glass so you could see more of the sign in the background, and it brought the greens up a little bit, which is cool because it added some color to the scene. Definitely the most editing out of all of the different photos that are on this roll, but still one of my favorites. The last usable shot on this whole roll was the police station, which was only 2 or 3 buildings down from the last building that we just saw. The red of the flag and the blue of the sky, I think, really contrast with each other well and make the image pop out a little bit more, because it's the only thing that's really colored in this scene. It looks like the blacks are a little milky and kind of like faded, and I think that's because I underexposed this shot a bit. It seems like film really likes a lot of light. From the research that I've done, overexposing is always better than underexposing with film. You could overexpose by like 3-4 stops, even with black and white, sometimes 5, and you can pull those highlights back down. But anyways, yeah, this is definitely one of the cooler shots. I think it's very vintage and fun. This experience shooting film has been pretty fun and interesting, not only because I get to do something new, but my girlfriend also now is getting back into a hobby that she hadn't thought about in years. And that's fucking sick to me, because like I'm rekindling something in a person that they thought was not really something that they were interested in anymore, and now I'm doing it with them, and we're both enjoying it together and having fun and making memories, which is super awesome. So now that we're done looking at the photos, I know it took a while, but I want to talk about the humility I had to learn in certain aspects, especially when it came to scanning this roll of film. So like I talked about at the beginning of the video, CT Prints, Ross Imaging, they scanned and developed all of these shots. Again, they did an amazing job, but I wasn't so pleased with them when I first got them. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to scan mine from now on, because this is bullshit. I don't want to spend 20, 25 bucks for shit that I'm going to have to edit regardless. But I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So scanning is way fucking harder than I thought. And I got a little bit of an ego check, not going to lie. So I had built this light box just to fuck around, play with some of my girlfriend's old negatives, and just learn a little bit. And it did help me learn. I had it propped up on this microphone stand, just kind of like hovering over the air. It was super wobbly and janky, and I knew this wasn't really like a permanent solution, but it did help me to learn a little bit. So I ended up getting a macro tube for my Panasonic GH5, which cost me around 13 bucks. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on a macro lens, and so I bought a macro tube. Turns out as well, I forgot that you had to crop the image. So what I thought was going to be fine ended up being 20 megapixels, but cropped, and it usually turned out to be like 10 to 13 megapixels. I didn't think about that. So fuck me, I guess. So I have an S5 II, right? Panasonic S5 II. It does 96 megapixel pixel shift scans. So I was like, that's surely going to be enough, right? So I bought a macro tube for that, another $50. I went to Home Depot. I got a cutting board, a flange, a pipe. I had this clamp from Small Rig already set up. I built myself my own copy stand. So now I can shoot directly down and get the exact perfect leveled shot that I need. So no warping or minimal warping. And it's all set up for me nice and smooth. That was like another $35, but you know, we got to spend a little money, right? So I still had this like cardboard light box, right? I decided that the cardboard light box is going to be enough. I'm going to shoot on the cardboard light box and that's going to be fine because I have an S5 II, 96 megapixels. That like these scans are going to be better than CT prints. I'm going to be fine. We're going to be good. It's not going to be as good as like a Fuji Frontier or whatever, but like it'll be fine. It'll still be better. And like I'll get to the Fuji Frontier level at some point, which is fucking bullshit that I even thought that way because I don't know what a Fuji Frontier can do. I've just heard of it. I thought that like, I don't know what I thought. I don't know what I thought. I was ignorant. I was ignorant and I had a big ego. So it ended up costing me. So I get this macro extension tube in the mail for my S5 II. I'm using this little like aperture light panel I had lying around. So I go into Lightroom and I have these scans done and I'm like, why is this image like so fuzzy and like textured? It looked like I took a picture on like textured paper and I couldn't figure it out. I went to Reddit, I went to Google, I went wherever that I needed to go and I couldn't figure it the fuck out. And eventually I picked up the diffusion that I was using on the light panel and I realized it was like a frost diffusion. Like, you know, when like it gets frosty on the window, it was frosty on the diffusion. And I was like, fuck, now I'm screwed. Big shocker. It didn't work. Now I have to invest in another thing. So I got a CS light from Cinestill and I bought their Veloy 360 film holder as well. That's another $75. So now like I'm $200 deep and like this is not working out the same way that I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be way easier than it was. So set up the light, set up the film holder, take photos of the film and they're not in focus. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how is this so goddamn difficult? I don't understand. Set it back up, do some autofocusing. I'm like, all right, so autofocus is clearly the way to do this now. My shots are sharp, but now we have two other problems. There's dust all over the film. I have to take so much time like picking out each piece of dust and erasing it in Photoshop. And even though it's in focus, it's nowhere near as sharp as the scans I got from Ross Imaging. Like, holy fuck, I don't know what to do at this point. This is getting to be ridiculous. And on top of all of that, I don't know how to like process it properly. I'm trying Negative Lab Pro. I tried manually processing it, inverting it. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. Like, it's very difficult to figure out. And this is making me realize like how good of a job Ross Imaging did, right? Like, I now get it. I understand why I paid that money. So back to the scanner we go. I have these nitrile gloves. I have a little rocket blower. I also wanted to test the theory that like I had two macro tubes attached to a regular lens, even though the lens is super sharp. I had two macro tubes extending everything. So that might be playing with the sharpness a little bit. So I pulled off one of the macro lenses and put only one on. But now what that does is it makes the minimum focusing distance larger. And so I can't get as close as I want to the film, which means I have to crop even more. And yes, it's a 96 megapixel photo. But at the end of the day, I had to crop so much that it came down all the way to like 24 megapixels, which we're back at the drawing board, right? Like that's totally usable. But like 96 megapixels, I was hoping for at least maybe 50 to 60 when I was done cropping. So it's just been a shit show. So finally with the macro tube being single instead of double, with the dust management, with the new light, the new film holder, all of the new things that I got, like I finally was getting scans that I was proud of. I finally kind of figured out how to edit them properly. The sharpness was there. I still want to upgrade to a better macro lens because I want to have something more than 24 megapixels, but I'm like 95% of the way there. But newfound respect for the people that do this on a daily basis for a living, because I highly underestimated them. So my long-winded story finally comes to an end. If you managed to get to the end with me, then thank you. I want to recap real quick and talk about some of the tips that I have after shooting my first roll of film. Number one, if you're going to do scans yourself, do it correctly and have the money ready to get the things you need. You're going to need a really good light. You're going to need a really good film holder, and you're going to need a good macro lens. You're not going to get scans that you like or that are to your quality standards if you don't have these things. Number two, you want to use autofocus if you can. Manually focusing is a little tricky on something that's so tiny and that you have such a small focus throw for. Number 3, I'm fucking sick at manually focusing, even at 50 millimeters f2. So that's just important to remember. I just wanted to let you know and remind you. Number 4, it's typically better to overexpose your film than to underexpose your film. You can always pull the highlights back for the most part, but once the shadows are gone, they're really, really difficult to get back. So overexpose versus underexpose. And a lot of people actually prefer to just overexpose all the time and pull the detail back afterwards, just so that they don't risk losing any of the detail in the shadows. So that's a good tip. I think that's how I'm going to probably be shooting from now on. And lastly, Target employees are so fucking lazy that they won't take 25 seconds to walk to the end of the store and grab your product for you. So apparently they don't care if you grab it yourself anyways and just leave the store with it. So you might as well just take it and not wait for them. I guess that's my last tip, because I think it's ridiculous. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, I'm glad that you made it to the end. And yeah, this was a really fun experience, and I'm happy with the results that I got. I'm really excited to keep shooting film and shoot film with someone that is important to me. And yeah, I'm glad I got to share this with you guys. So peace.